Welcome to step 3 of assignment 4 in the relationships class. In step 3, I'll be critically analyzing the 3 techniques that I used. The 3 techniques were externalizing, foregrounding competency, and scaling. I'll be doing this using the grading criteria of strength focus, culturally responsive, and contextualized or systemic lenses. I decided to keep this video separate from the other video in case anyone wanted to observe the counseling session. Honestly, it'll just maybe be my mom that would check it out anyway. I'm going to be assessing myself through a scaling process, but drawn on the face of the counselor from the previous assignment. To critically analyze, I'll be asking myself 3 questions within each of the grading criteria. The 3 questions are what was working, what was not working, and what I would change. That's again for each of the grading criteria that are strength focused, culturally responsive, and contextualized. At the end of each evaluation criteria, I'll be scaling how well I believe I used each of the evaluation criterias from a scale from 0 to 10. 0 being not using it very well, to 10 being I used it exceptionally well. Within the evaluation criteria, strength focused, a few of the things that were working well were foregrounding competency is something that is very strength based, and using this to honor and respect how difficult a first session is could build towards relational ethics. Within scaling, I was able to pivot to preference naturally. Within strength focus, something that was not working well was within externalizing, I used tremendous amount of time to externalize, which could have reinforced the problem focus of the critic. Within the strength category, what could have been changed is I could have spent more time on foregrounding competency because Scott displayed, at least in the visual, a higher level of energy and engagement through this time. And then also, small encouragers could have been used when he displayed awareness. So, like when he provided such a succinct cultural indicators, I could have said something like, "Whoa, you've really thought about this." In the end, I felt like for the evaluation criteria of strength focus, I would have given myself a 9.5. Moving on to the category of culturally responsive, things that were working well was I was able to talk about working class philosophy, the get or done mentality, without focusing on it or naming working class or middle class, adding sensitivity. Another thing that was working well was fairly non-judgmental in my exploration of culture by engaging in the questions Scott was asking. So when he was asking, is it working? And then his response within it. And then also using scaling to quantify. Jived with a pragmatic frame of mind that he was displaying. And then the use of externalization was comprehensive and naturally led into more cultural exploration. Something that did not work within cultural responsiveness was I could have delved deeper into the cultural aspects mentioned and asked specifically which factors were helpful or unhelpful or contributed. Something that I would have changed is using foregrounding competency to talk about culture. So I could have honored or recognized how he was now recognizing how dominant or homogenous kind of he is, white male, etc. And then recognizing now the difference. So I could have said something like, "You're recognizing a lot now in relationship to 19-year-old Scott or the critic. Um, a lot has changed in your view of self and personal culture." So within the category of culturally responsive, I would have given myself about a 9.5. Within the evaluation criteria of contextualized or systemic lens, something that was working was Scott mentioned change at the end of part 1 and presenting concerns. And I was able to use a solution focused scaling at the end, pivoting towards change, providing a tangible thing to do despite both foreground and competency and externalizing being more process orientated questions. Something that was not working very well was he mentioned his wife and a rule that they had within the family, and I didn't really explore self in relation to family. At the end, I gave a small statement about how the individual kind of processing that we've done will work itself into life, family, work, relationships, but it was really brief. A few of the areas that I would change within contextualized systemic lens is Scott seemed to have a more pragmatic frame of mind, um, which jived with scaling. And I explored a lot of the thoughts, behaviors, beliefs within externalization. But I think in the future, I would use some of the affect and response style of work that I used right at the beginning, but I would have used it more around the feel goods area of like foreground and competency. Also, the systems that were discussed, like Scott in relationship to friends, family, religion, it could have been explored deeper through foreground and competency. So he mentioned how his friends wouldn't necessarily go, and that could have been built on too. Something else that I would have changed is I might have used externalizing in tandem with scaling as well to explore contexts. So, exploring what would family notice, how would they notice, what would this look like in relationship to the critic, increasing his kind of mind's eye awareness as well. Within contextualized systemic lens, I would give myself an 8.5. Overall, this was a great assignment. I felt it was really applicable and really good for self awareness raising. Even just observing the skills and chopping it up was really good for paraphrasing, clarifying, succinct, clear communication. All in all, just a great assignment. Thank you very much.